Welcome back, history enthusiasts, to Legendary Legacies, your go-to channel for the most iconic moments in history. Today, we're setting our time machine to the 1970s, a decade that left its mark on every facet of our lives. So, sit back and relax as we journey together through this legendary decade. The 70s, an era of disco, bell-bottom jeans, and monumental social and technological transformations. It was a time when pop culture exploded, music was at its creative peak, and the world was witnessing a new dawn of science and technology. Let's kick things off with the lifeblood of the 70s, the music. From the sweet symphonies of ABBA to the raw energy of punk rock, the 70s was a musical smorgasbord. ABBA, the Swedish pop sensation, stormed onto the scene in the 70s.
I'll see you over there, ladies and gentlemen, again, ABBA!
Winning the Eurovision Song Contest in 1974 with Waterloo. A fun fact, ABBA is an acronym of the first letters of each band member's first name: Agnetha, Björn, Benny, and Anni-Frid.
Waterloo by ABBA for Sweden. Watch this one.
This was also the era of disco, a genre that defined an entire generation. The Bee Gees, Donna Summer, and Chic got the world dancing to their funky beats. And let's not forget about punk rock, the rebellious genre that challenged societal norms. Bands like the Ramones and the Sex Pistols burst onto the scene, tearing up the rulebook and giving a voice to a disaffected generation. And Motown in the 1970s was a vibrant force, continuing the legacy of the previous decade while adapting to the changing musical landscape. The label, founded by Berry Gordy Jr., was home to a roster of legendary artists who defined the sound of the era. The Jackson 5, Stevie Wonder, and Marvin Gaye were just a few of the influential artists who made significant strides in the 70s. This was the decade when Stevie Wonder released some of his most critically acclaimed albums, including Inner Visions and Songs in the Key of Life, showcasing his genius for blending funk, soul, and pop.
Keep on learning, soldiers. Keep on warring.
Meanwhile, Marvin Gaye's What's Going On offered a poignant commentary on the social issues of the day, proving that Motown could be as politically conscious as it was melodically infectious. Despite the rise of disco and rock, Motown held its own, perfectly encapsulating the spirit and soul of the 1970s. From the concert stage, let's move to the silver screen. The 70s is widely regarded as a golden era for cinema, with a plethora of influential and iconic movies that continue to captivate audiences today. The decade witnessed the rise of groundbreaking directors and innovative storytelling. Films like The Godfather in 1972 and its sequel, The Godfather Part II in 1974, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, set a new standard for crime dramas and showcased exceptional performances.
Murder. We ask you for justice. That is not justice.
Star Wars in 1977, directed by George Lucas, revolutionized the science fiction genre and became a cultural phenomenon.
Oh my, I'd forgotten how much I hate space travel.
Here they come!
Other notable films of the decade include Steven Spielberg's Jaws in 1975, which introduced the concept of the summer blockbuster, and Taxi Driver in 1976, directed by Martin Scorsese, which explored themes of alienation and societal decay.
Taxi Driver doesn't even exist. This city here is like an open sewer, you know? It's full of filth and scum. I think I know what you mean.
The 1970s was a transformative period for cinema, leaving an indelible mark on film history and inspiring future generations of filmmakers. And we can't touch on entertainment without touching on the iconic shows of the 70s. It was a vibrant and diverse era for television shows and cartoons, offering a wide range of entertainment for viewers of all ages. The decade saw the rise of iconic sitcoms like All in the Family from 1971 through 1979. It tackled social issues with humor and frankness, and MASH, which aired from 1972 to 1983, was a critically acclaimed series set during the Korean War.
And in the Bible it says, God made man in his own image. He made women after, from a rib, cheaper cut.
Meanwhile, crime dramas like Starsky and Amp Hutch from 1975 to 1979 and Charlie's Angels in 1976 to 1981 gained immense popularity, showcasing action-packed adventures and charismatic characters. In the realm of animation, the 1970s introduced beloved cartoons that have endured through the years. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Continued its run into the 1970s, capturing the hearts of audiences with its mystery-solving dog and his friends. The decade also gave us The Pink Panther Show, which aired through the whole decade, featuring the misadventures of the iconic animated character, and The Flintstone Comedy Hour from 1972 to 1974 was a spin-off of the classic The Flintstones series. The 1970s offered a diverse array of television shows and cartoons, each leaving its own mark on popular culture and providing endless entertainment for audiences around the world. Now onto a new entertainment field, gaming. The decade marked the birth of the video game industry, with companies like Atari and Magnavox introducing pioneering technologies and iconic games. Pong, released in 1972, and the Atari 2600 were key milestones, revolutionizing arcade and home gaming respectively. The decade laid the foundation for the modern gaming landscape, transforming gaming from a niche hobby into a mainstream pastime. The 1970s witnessed significant advancements and innovations in the field of technology, setting the stage for the digital age that would follow. In a quiet garage in California, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak founded Apple in 1976. Fun fact, their first product, the Apple I, was a kit computer, meaning users had to assemble it themselves. Little did they know that this humble start would ultimately revolutionize personal computing and consumer electronics. It paved the way for subsequent developments like the Apple II in 1977, which popularized the concept of the personal computer for everyday users. The 1970s also marked the advent of the microprocessor, a critical breakthrough that led to the miniaturization and increased power of electronic devices. Additionally, the introduction of key technologies like floppy disks. Moreover, the ARPANET, a precursor to the modern internet, was established in the 1970s, laying the foundation for the global interconnectedness we experience today. The 1970s was a transformative era for technology, setting the stage for the digital revolution that would shape the world in the decades to come.
Through which he can talk to his friendly local computer and get all the information he needs for his everyday life, like his bank statements, his theater reservations.
Now sports, we have to talk about it. The 1970s was a decade of significant milestones and memorable moments in the world of sports. In boxing, Muhammad Ali was at the height of his career, engaging in historic bouts like the Fight of the Century against Joe Frazier in 1971 and the Rumble in the Jungle against George Foreman in 1974.
Muhammad Ali may try a blitzing.
Tennis saw the dominance of players like Bjorn Borg and Jimmy Connors, captivating fans with their intense rivalries and exceptional skills. In American football, the Pittsburgh Steelers achieved great success, winning 4 Super Bowl titles in the decade behind their Steel Curtain defense. Meanwhile, the Munich Olympics in 1972 became tragically memorable due to the terrorist attack on the Israeli team.
Instead, the 1972 Munich Games became one of the darkest moments in Olympic history. when 8 members of the Palestinian terrorist group Black September stormed the Olympic Village and attacked the Israeli delegation.
The 1970s was a dynamic era for sports, filled with iconic moments and the rise of some of the most legendary athletes in history. Now let's venture into the realm of science and world news, both of which had landmark moments in the 70s. In 1970, Apollo 13 captivated global audiences. What was supposed to be NASA's third moon landing mission turned into a harrowing survival story when an oxygen tank on the spacecraft exploded. Did you know that the infamous line, "Houston, we've had a problem," was actually slightly misquoted in popular culture? The actual words spoken by astronaut Jack Swigert were, "Houston, we've had a problem here."
Hey, we've got a problem here. What did you do?
Nothing, I stirred the tanks.
In the United States, the decade began with the escalating Vietnam War, which fueled anti-war protests and social unrest across the nation. The Watergate scandal dominated headlines, leading to the resignation of President Richard Nixon in 1974 and a profound loss of public trust in government institutions.
The president is going to address the nation and presumably announce his resignation in a half an hour from now.
The energy crisis, triggered by an oil embargo by OPEC, resulted in fuel shortages, long lines at gas stations, and a renewed focus on alternative energy sources.
Resulting in their decision to reduce the flow of oil to America and other nations supporting Israel.
The feminist movement gained momentum, marked by the passage of Title IX, which prohibited sex discrimination in education, and the landmark Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade, legalizing abortion. In global news, the 1970s witnessed the end of the Vietnam War in 1975, the rise of the Soviet Union as a superpower, and the Cold War tensions between East and West. The Arab-Israeli conflict intensified, leading to the Yom Kippur War in 1973. Additionally, the Iranian Revolution in 1979 saw the overthrow of the Shah and the establishment of an Islamic Republic, which had far-reaching implications for the Middle East and international relations.
Spread with the speed of the human shout. Shah Farari Shodeh, the people cried. The Shah has escaped.
And what about the fashion, you might ask? Well, the 70s was a time when style was as expressive and diverse as the people themselves. Bell-bottoms, tie-dye, and platform shoes were all the rage. And who could forget the iconic Afro hairstyle? Fun fact, the popularity of the Afro among African Americans in the 70s was linked not just to fashion, but also to the Black is Beautiful movement. And just like that, we've journeyed through the 1970s, a legendary decade indeed. From its unforgettable tunes and cinematic masterpieces, to the birth of video gaming and personal computing, it was a time of significant change and innovation. This decade also saw major advancements in science, historic world events, and of course a unique fashion sense that still influences what we wear today. The 70s was truly a time like no other, shaping the world in ways that still resonate with us. Thank you for joining us on this journey back to the 70s. We hope you had as much fun as we did. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Legendary Legacies for more fascinating trips through history. And we'd love to hear from you. Share your favorite moment from the 70s or suggest a decade you'd like us to explore next in the comments below. Until our next historical adventure, keep exploring, keep learning, and as always, keep making history. This is Legendary Legacies, signing off.